Hey, welcome to Tough Guys and Drama Queens. I hope this series will change your life. And I hope it changes the way that you parent your kids. If you're sitting there and thinking, okay, what are we doing here? I hope that you're sitting with the idea that you can change the way that you engage with your tween now so that when they hit the adolescent years, it'll be a completely different scenario. I hope if you're sitting there thinking, what does this have to do with my teenager? I hope you will gain some insight into how to better parent them in such a way that you can connect with them in ways that you never had before. 23 years ago, I founded a program called Heartlight, which is a residential counseling center for kids that come from all over the country. And I think what probably makes this more special for me is that I get to share all those lessons that I've learned from all these kids with you through this series. You're going to have a number of opportunities to watch many videos about me talking. That's important. But let me tell you something. What's more important is the time that you spend talking in your discussion, answering questions, encouraging one another, taking those challenges and saying, okay, how can life at home be different this week? And then coming home and talking about it. My hope is that everything that we do in this series is designed to get you to talk, get you to share, and get you to change the way that you engage with your kids so that your relationship is close and it is together as you go through those often turbulent waters of adolescence. Hey, I hope you enjoy Tough Guys and Drama Queens. I would liken a parent's trek into their child's adolescent years to a time that I went duck hunting in Arkansas. I was with a group of friends. We were going to the same old place I've been 100 times, going to the same old hunting hole that I was accustomed to, using the same gun I've always used. It was going to be a great weekend. So the first morning that we went out, I ended up slipping out of the boat into about 3 feet of water, and the water was beautiful. I mean, it was flat, it was placid, it was just calm as anything, and the blue sky was just unbelievable. And we were going to hunt in timber, and this timber has water that's flooded into it, and you get in and you walk to a certain point, and we were just looking forward to a great day. I knew it was going to be a great time. And so what happened was I was leaning up against a tree. I'd positioned myself. All of a sudden, a duck came from over the back of me. And as I turned to look at the duck and I shot, it fluttered down. I didn't kill it, but it hit the water and probably about 50 yards away. And so I thought, well, I'm going to go get the duck. So I focused on the duck. So I had my gun, my $1,000 gun that was just as valuable to me as anything, and I started to walk across the water. I've been here before. Wait, I can do this. I'll go get the duck. It's not that big of a deal. But as I started to walk across that water, my feet started getting tangled up under all these limbs and branches and brush that had been cut down and piled up, and I started to trip. The first time I started to trip, it wasn't that big of a deal. I kept walking. I've tripped before. As I walked again, my foot got lodged into some other logs I didn't anticipate. And as I started to go under, everything moved into slow motion. It was almost for just a second I thought, this is how people drown. I've heard many stories about that. I always hear that and I go, wow, how did they ever drown? No duck hunter really wants to do that. But it happens. And it was happening to me. As I started to go under, it was interesting to me. I was more concerned about the focus on the duck and holding my gun, which I thought was valuable, out of the water, until the water ended up coming in over my neck. And then I thought, I can't do this. I've got to take what I think is valuable and save my life. So I thrust it underneath the water, and I pushed up, and as I got up, I just sat there with water running down my back. This was 20-degree weather, and this water was just a little bit above freezing. It woke me up to what was really going on. It got my focus off of the duck, and I started to go, I almost went under. And it was amazing to me that I looked around to everybody else, and nobody had said a word. Nobody knew. Nobody had any clue that I had just gone under, and I was soaking wet. It scared me to death. So I sat there and I looked at the duck and I came back and I said, you know what? This isn't right. This isn't good. I was in water with friends, with people that I know, with family that surrounded me in a very familiar place, and I almost drowned. Here's what I learned about parenting from this outing. I was in a very familiar place, and it quickly became a very dangerous place, and you wouldn't even known it by looking at it. It appeared calm. And I think most parents look at adolescents that way. They think, hey, this is a calm place. We've done this before. We've seen this before. It's not that big of a deal. But what they don't know is what lies beneath the surface. And that becomes disheartening at times. It becomes scary at other times when we begin to see there's actually stuff there that's below the surface that can affect our kids. The other thing was I was focusing on something that wasn't important. And too many times parents focus on something that's just totally not important. They have some other idea about what they want for their child, and their child's drowning, and yet the focus is on something way out there that's unimportant. And the other thing is I was holding on to something that I thought was very valuable. My gun, when I held it up, I thought, I can't let this thing get wet. Am I willing to die for that? Am I willing to drown? So when I thrust it underwater and pushed myself back up, I quickly learned from my cold water experience what was valuable, where my focus needed to be, what was below the surface. And just because waters are calm doesn't mean that they're safe waters. I think that's how parents go into adolescence. They think, okay, this is easy, piece of cake, nothing will happen. And I go, it could. And you may be sitting there going, oh no, that's not my child. We've done a great job parenting. Oh no, my child would never go under, and I would never go under because I know exactly what to do. Do you? I've had 2,500 kids live with me over the past 30 years. And it's amazing to me, out of those 2,500 kids, every one of those parents has said, we didn't see this coming. So somewhere along the line, if you're saying, oh no, not me, my kids won't do that, don't believe that. Because if you really believe that it's not your kid, you won't prepare. And if you don't prepare, then you won't be ready if anything does happen with your child. Parents overestimate the effectiveness of their parenting skills and underestimate the effect that this culture is having on their kids. It's calm waters, so it appears, but it's not necessarily so. It's easy to go under, even if you're in the place that you're the most familiar with. And if you're one of those parents that says, oh no, not me, my kids will never be in trouble. I'll never have difficulty wading through the waters of adolescence. I go, really? Are you serious? I've got 2,500 kids that have lived with us. Every parent has said this, I never saw it coming. I never thought my child would be in trouble. We didn't know what to do. Many times parents end up saying, my child went upstairs one person and the next day came down somebody completely different, and we had no idea what to do. Hey, this is what I tell people all the time. Any child can be affected by this culture. And so don't close your eyes to what may be happening. It may appear calm, but there may be some things beneath the surface that are happening that you don't know about. You may get yourself into a tough spot. Because if you believe that that can't happen to you, then you won't prepare and you won't be ready for the time that your child may need you the most. I found this, that parents overestimate the effectiveness of their parenting skills, and they underestimate the influence of the culture on their child. Be prepared. It's easy to go under, even in those places where we're the most familiar.